I think that's a ring-necked pigeon, actually. They'll be talking. Anyway, thought I'd do a short video, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, 4 or 5. Probably as much as I ramble, 10 minutes. But welcome to Ugly Pug Forge. Welcome back to Ugly Pug Forge. What I'm going to talk about today is just hammers. Now, I know this has been, well, I guess not really a subject that's been covered a lot, but I'm going to cover some, okay? I've got a whole slew of hammers here, and I keep collecting them. There she is again. Anyway, you can't ever get enough hammers. You can't ever get enough tongs. But I'm just going to show you a few that I have, and then I'm going to choose 2. If I had to have 2 hammers that I could use, and I could only use those 2 for anything and everything for the rest of my life, which 2 would I choose? Okay, and I'll even narrow it down to 1 if we need to. Okay, this is probably my largest hammer. This is a 12-pound sledge. I've got 3 different sledges. I've got this 12-pound. I've got an 8-pound, and I've got a 10-pound. I've also got an 8-pound on a short handle like this one. Okay, so you stick an 8-pound hammer on this short handle, and boy, you'll give your arm or your forearm a workout. Do I use those that much? No, not really that often. They move still quickly, but you really need to hold fast. You need somebody to hold it because you're striking, usually with 2 hands, and you're wanting to move some steel. Mostly what I use those for is if I need a hardy hole tool, I'll throw it in here, flatten it, forge it to shape, or drive it down through the hardy hole to fit that hardy hole. I used to do that. I don't do that much anymore. I don't want to break off this this part of the anvil. Don't want to abuse it. Okay, this is my first hammer. This is the first hammer I ever bought. Right here. This is from Ace Hardware. It's a 4-pound cross peen. Cross peen just means that this flat part here goes across. If it was a straight peen, it'd be sitting like this, but it's not. It's going cross peen. Okay. What I did is I took and I rounded down the face a little bit. You can't see that, but any new hammer that you buy for forging, you want to round off that face. If not, you'll leave hammer marks all in it. I use this hammer forever and ever. This is a pretty popular style of hammer, the cross peen, and they come in all kinds of styles. The French style, has a peen down here. You can make, all that stuff, okay? Use this for all kinds of stuff. I use this for drawing metal out, which just means lengthening the steel, the hot steel. And, I got the round face for hammering, forging to shape. Yeah, I love it. I used it a lot. I still do. First hammer, I think this was like 16 or 17 bucks. Okay, if you're getting into forging, this is not a bad way to go. It's not expensive. You can use it for almost everything. Okay, good hammer. Great hammer. Love it. Tons of blacksmiths use a cross peen hammer. This is called a straight peen hammer. This is a little 1.5, 2-pounder. Yeah, 1.5 pound. I made this hammer with my buddy Nathan Thompson of Rusty Hammer Forge out of Washington. Okay, just north of us here. He and I were doing a demo one day, and he had a blank, and so he said, "Hey, what kind of hammer you want to make?" I said, "A straight peen." See how the peen, the rounding part right here, is straight up and down, okay, running in line with the handle. And the hammerhead is a little bit square, but it's also rounded. I use this a lot. I use it on the workbench a lot just because it is the 1.5 pounder. Sometimes I'll use it out here on the anvil to move stuff. I'll put a little Brute de Forge handle, finger guard on some knives, and I could show you that. It does the same thing as this, okay, with the peens. Now the good thing about the peens, if I had some clay out here, if I'm hitting it with the hammer, boom, okay, I'm spreading the steel out like this, okay, it's spreading. If I hit it with a peen, I can control where the steel goes a lot better. It only squishes it here, and it lengthens the steel. So if I'm hitting it with this, I'm not contributing to the width of the steel, I'm just contributing to the length. You're not going to see me hit my finger that hard, let me tell you. All right, a couple other hammers here that I've made over the years. Dog's head hammers. Okay, that's where the handle is offset a little bit. This was the first hammer I ever made. It was a gift given to me. This was a shaft out of some equipment here in Wallowa County. given to me by Kevin McCadden. The shaft was, oh, geez, I don't know, 100 years old, I bet. Probably more. I think it was on a well. It's not really that hard of steel. Works for the hammer. This is great for putting in bevels on knives. That's what I use it for. I could use it for anything else. Now, it takes a little bit of getting used to. Okay, usually you have the handle in the middle and then the weight's more balanced and you're not doing this with it, you know, while you're hammering. Okay, those two. Good options though, great options. And talk to you about these bad boys. These are ball peens in various sizes and lengths. Okay, I haven't bought a new ball peen yet. That's not right. I bought a few and gave them away. Okay, these ball peen hammers are nice for certain tasks. I see farriers, not farriers, blacksmiths use these a lot, you know, for different tasks. When I get tired of swinging on this big old 4-pounder or whatever, you know, I'll go to a ball peen sometimes and do some cleanup work, some finesse work. This adds some texture. This actually lets you to, you know, hit someplace very specifically. I use this hammer mostly on my workbench when I'm fitting up guards and or doing leather work or something along those lines. Okay, so this is a small, I don't know, this doesn't weigh much. That's how you use that one. Don't ask for another demo of ball peen hammers. Okay, I use these a lot. If I had to just use one of these, it'd be tough. Okay, but they do have their place. I use them quite a bit. All right, now to the last category of hammer. This is one I use all the time. This is my 4-pound rounding hammer. It's got a rounded face and then a flatter face. Okay, it's not perfectly flat. Again, we don't want to put in hammer marks. This is, I made this hammer a long time ago. My dad helped me hammer this out and punch the eye and everything. That was a good time. Some good memories on this hammer. It's been on Forged in Fire. You know, it's the one I took to the show. I also took this one to the show. This has been on Forged in Fire. You know, that's the Rusty Hammer Forge, Nathan Thompson. I'll tag him in the video and then he can say hi or whatever. Okay, so this is the one that I use for everything now. When I say everything, I mean almost everything. If you give me a project and say you can use one hammer, this is it. I'm going to choose it. I can get back here and I can move some steel. And I've used it enough that I know how and where the steel is going to move. Okay, if I want to get finesse, choke up on it a little bit. You can see, you know, I've squared it off. I know exactly where my hand's going, and I can get in there and do some pretty finesse work. I made this one recently, and I use it quite a bit too. This is a 2-pound rounding hammer. I'm still not quite used to it. I don't know. I'm just so used to this one that I don't use many others, okay? But this is a flat face on this side, round face on this side out of 4140. It's a really nice hammer. You can swing it pretty much all day. Your arm's not gonna get too tired, I don't think. It's got a little longer handle, okay? So I see a lot of guys, especially farriers, using these. Man, you can get way out here and just starts wailing on stuff. Your arm's not gonna get that tired, especially if you hold it correctly and swing right. And it'll move some steel. Plus, choke up to here, and there's a lot of finesse there. Okay. Now, having said that, these are my two favorite styles of hammers. Okay, the ones with the peen, the flat peen, and then a more rounded face, and then the rounding hammer. If I had to choose two hammers and I could only use the two for forging, okay, not necessarily for, you know, work on the bench or leather work, you know, fitting up that, I'd go with these two hammers. Both 4-pound, they're similar, you know, I mean, almost identical weight. I know where they're gonna move steel. I can forge just about anything. If I had to choose one hammer to do it all, it'd be this one, a rounding hammer. Now the reason is, well, there's two reasons. Number one, Okay, a guy told me a story about a sniper that he knew. His dad worked on a military base back close to where I was from. He was bored because he's out on the military base all by himself. So his dad bought him a 30-06 and gave him just a can of NATO 30-06 ammo, right? Because you could get it. And so he would shoot it until they shot the barrel out and then get him a new one, same exact model. Wasn't the fanciest rifle or anything, but he could shoot tacks with that thing because he knew he just shot that one gun so much that he knew exactly where it was going to hit. Okay, kind of similar here. So I've just used this so much that I just know it. It's like an extension of my arm. It kind of got that way, okay? But the other reason is because there's literally not much I can't do with this hammer that I could do with any of these others. I'll give you a demonstration, right? If I want to move steel, okay, and I'm forging in the bevels on a knife or something, say. Okay, I can use the rounding side of the hammer and come in here to slide angle. Now, because I'm angling that, and because I'm depending on how much I angle the hammer, it's just pretty much going to push the steel one way. It would bend that all the way up, right? If I hammered on this side, this would be the tip and it'd be clear up here by the time I was done. It'd be almost flat. Okay, so there is that. I know that I can hammer bevels in. I can move steel. I can come down here on it, and I know that's going to push the steel pretty much one way. If I come here and I want to just like make everything wider, I can hit fairly flat with this. Good on you, Bob's your uncle. If I really have a leaf spring and I want to move some steel, you know, I'll get clear back here on the hammer and I'll whip down on it. And this will move steel like, I don't know, 6 pound, 8 pound sledge if I get some whip, get enough whip in it, right? Okay. If I get finesse and I just want the steel to move one way, like a cross peen. Okay, I don't need this cross peen to come in here. All I've got to do come here with the flatter part of my hammer, tilt it a little bit, and hit it like this. Now all of a sudden I'm doing exactly the same thing as a cross peen. The only difference is I can't do that all the way across. Although, because of the size of the hammer head, I can get almost all the way across. I can get about halfway. Okay, so I can go hammer down one side, come back, hammer back the other side. Done exactly the same thing as a cross peen. Okay, now some people say you have to have a lot of hammers. You don't. Okay, I can do all of that same stuff with this hammer as I can with this one and vice versa. I just like this one better because, hey, that's what I've used. I would buy, if I had to start over for some reason, they said you can have, you know, I only have the budget for 2 hammers or 1 hammer. Boom, here it is. Okay, here they are right here, these 2 hammers. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about really quickly is just hammer control. Okay, well, when you're first starting out, the biggest thing is hammer control because you're hitting here and you're hitting here, and you think you're looking down to where you want to hit. You're trying to hit right here, right? But then you're like, oh, what the heck just happened? You know, then you're like tilting the hammer and all this kind of stuff. It's not hitting flat. You don't know where it's going. Okay, that just takes a lot of practice, just hours of practice. You'll get it. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter in the end if you want to be good. If you're just out to make a first knife, not so much. Okay. Last thing though, that is hammer control, hitting where you are looking. That's only one aspect of it. Okay, knowing your hammer well enough to be able to move steel the way you want it, whether you tilt it, hit it flat, hit it here, hit it this way, hit it with a rounding hammer, hitting it with a flat hammer, how it's going to move when you're holding it clear out here, how it's going to move when you're here, how long you can hammer, where you're going to hit when your arms get tired. Okay. You know, that kind of thing, how to avoid all of that is hammer control, and that just comes with time and practice. There's nobody that can really teach you that other than experience, and experience is always the best teacher. Experience is always. Okay, so go watch some YouTube videos, learn from people, learn their techniques, and then go and apply them to yourself. Don't ever listen to someone who says this is the only way to do it. That's not true. Okay, get your own experiences and learn how it works for you. You'll be a much better smith in the end. All right, thank you for your time. Everybody hit like, subscribe. Please share this with all your neighbors and friends. You know, not necessarily out to make $1 million, but I wouldn't mind having a few more subscribers and friends and viewers, that kind of thing. So please hit like, subscribe. It helped me out a bunch. And let's get the word out there. Let's get a few more people forging knives and making things. And, you know, we'll go through a hammer building video. I'm not the very best, but I'm not bad at it either. We'll do some Damascus, you know, over time, you know, all that stuff. Okay. We'll cover it all. Next video, look forward to tongs. And also look forward to the second knife. Look for that second knife build with minimal tools. Okay? Get started. Be a maker, people.